we don't need a countdown. Just go with it, right?
We're here. We're
Yeah,
here.
we
Yeah.
made it.
Yeah. Yeah, it counts down and it's like a 5, 4, right?
Yeah,
No. Welcome everyone. I'm seeing comments come in. It's great to uh see everyone here and that the chat is working, which is fantastic. So
yeah,
it's been a few months since we've done a webinar. We took um, a little break for the holidays. You know, we try to do these webinars. Uh, it's typically the last Wednesday of every month. Like I said, we take November and December off just because of all the holidays and such. So we're back in the seat again. Uh, we had a little delay. You know, this one's been delayed a week. So Jason got stuck in Cancun, an awful place
un
to get stuck.
unfortunately, I got stuck.
An refugee, as we call it, right? Refugee in
Yeah,
Cancun.
yep.
Awful, awful. Well, thank you everyone for joining. What we wanted to talk about today, we actually, Jason and I and Dawn were at IT Nation in November, and we did a pre-day session, which was about 4 hours long. And so I challenged Jason to shrink that down to like 45 minutes. I was like, can we condense it down and kind of share it with everyone? We wanted to give everyone the opportunity to kind of hear this message and get in front of us and bring your questions. So Jason's going to share what we talked about at this pre-day session. And then please go ahead and put your questions in the chat. We'll try to address everything. We don't, we're going to try to leave some time at the end so that we can answer off-topic questions as well, and kind of just go over anything that's burning in your mind there. And then let's see. I think that's about it. Oh, it is being recorded. So all of our webinars are recorded and put onto our YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen that, you can go find all the previous ones located there. But
Like and
anyways,
subscribe.
yes.
Hear that all the
And
time. My son, he watches all these shows, the Skibidi Toilets and whatever this new generation has, always at the end, like and subscribe, and he even says it too. It's so funny.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, and if you're not following TimeZest on LinkedIn, that would be a good one. Talking about like and subscribe. Follow us on LinkedIn. You can hear all the scoop. You can also, we announce these webinars, the registration for them there as well. So yeah. Well, Jason, you ready to dive in and tell us all about what we're working on, what's going on in this mindset of predictive triage and dispatching?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Joe, for the introduction.
Yeah.
Wanted to really just start this off, the conversation in today's session, just really showing out what Joe said. This whole presentation that I did back in IT Nation 2025 was 4 hours long. We condensed down to like 3 hours and 40 something minutes, but it was still a lot to talk about. I tried to cut out as much trimmings as I could, so I'm not going to be able to share every single slide, every single conversation. The point of this is really to talk about what we were just talking about in the title. It's just the predictive triage and the predictive dispatch of what the overall service delivery that we are seeing and what we could try, what times this is striving to be in the future. We wanted to show here in the agenda more of an approach of like just first setting the stage. When we did talked about this at IT Nation, we wanted to make sure that the audience understood, okay, what is your current challenges today and what really is happening in reality with what you feel is going on and all those distractions and all those different issues that your service delivery team is experiencing. Many of these things had to do with like, or what we were trying to explain is like being open minded. Okay, so I want you guys to do the same thing. Be open minded with the fact that these things exist and we're calling these out. I'm not calling you specifically, but these things exist. And what we have noticed in different times as customers and in the MSP space as a whole, from the various conferences and stuff and other events that we've been through. Then we talked about the simplification of trying to schedule appointments, right? Because that's what TimeZest is all about. We wanted to showcase a lot of the missteps. Again, calling out those different issues. What happens whenever a certain situation occurs in terms of your journey of solving or working on a service ticket? And what are those different missteps? I don't want to call it mistakes or problems, just a little misstep of what happens and how you can call it out and make sure that you can try to find some way to be able to improve on that. Next is talking about the building of the foundation for the future, right? So we're calling out those issues, those little missteps, and eventually, we wanted to teach and let the audience know we're thinking about these things and we want to be able to solve these problems. And how can TimeZest be able to essentially kind of influence the future of how the entire journey is, from service ticket triage to dispatching, assigning, and then over into scheduling, which we already tackle really well. Okay. And then lastly, empowering your team. How can we do all of these things that we're trying to do in the future? Um, how can you set up your team to be able to adapt to these new things and new influences that we're trying to introduce? Okay, so that's what I want to share with you guys today. Again, I can't talk about every single slide, but that's just the high level overview about what the agenda was. Okay, so I want you all to do the same thing. We allowed the audience at IT Nation to be able to take notes. We want you to be able to think about these same things as well. And first of all, talking about the actual reality of what happens within your service delivery team with regards to specifically the triage and dispatching realities today. Ideally, right? Just in a perfect day, you were to come in, agendas are full, your technicians are fully booked out with tasks from what your clients have submitted in terms of requests, not just support side, but other things like installations, purchases, sales, related issues, things like that. Um, their calendars are full, right? They're booked out and fully utilized. The techs themselves, they are highly focused on what they are assigned to. And then also too, there's no emergencies. That's never gonna happen. But in the ideal world, no emergency is gonna be calling in to be able to disrupt the day. But in reality, that's what happens, right? So when those agendas are already booked out by the dispatcher, there can be double booked calendars. Like, say, for example, we assigned a service ticket to a particular tech at a certain time, but then a client decides, hey, I need to be able to schedule a meeting at the same time. Well, what do I do as a tech? Do I handle the call? Do I reschedule it? Whatever. That always happens, and that can greatly alter their day. I'm going to call out this one in a little bit with the missing information. If service tickets get dispatched out to the team and there's missing information, well, there's some delay there, and that causes a lot of delay with regards to the ticket resolution, because we got to go back, reach out to the client to say, hey, what's going on with this ticket? Can you clarify? Or I got to go back to the dispatcher to understand what is this issue about, and potentially it might have to get escalated back to the dispatcher because that tech wasn't really qualified to do that work. Because of that, the techs themselves, either they get fully booked out with all of the work, or there's just so much frustration going back and forth. I mean, there's that burnout that happens. We've noticed that a lot with those different conversations with MSPs, is the fact that if there's too much push of service tickets out there to a tech, and it's just day by day, and there's a lot of frustration going on, not only with the communication between dispatcher and tech, but also too the tech and the client. Well, that just leads to burnout and potential delays in resolution. Calling that out as well, just the overload, the fact that they get overloaded with the amount of work that they just can't really handle it in their day. And lastly, with the emergencies, right? So you've got your clients that are crying out emergencies when it's not really true. That boy cried wolf kind of situation where they continuously cry and say, "Hey, this is an emergency," but really it's just access to, a simple document that doesn't really isn't really needed until next week, right? And those VIP emergencies as well. Those common situations where a client believes that they're a VIP, or you establish them as a VIP, and then they get frontline service. All of those things happen, but we wanted to call out here with the audience and again with you guys. Think about this. What are those different realities that hit you hardest at this point? Okay, we just wanted to put that in your head because we wanted you to think about how you can improve on that later on in the slides in this presentation today. Okay. So then we talked about how those real world impacts affect downstream, not just in the service delivery side of things with the help desk and the techs and the service managers and dispatchers and whatnot, that specific team. It goes downstream to the other departments like finance, sales, and also too it affects your clients as well. So when it comes to the service delivery and those issues that come out with service tickets being dispatched improperly, with the lack of information and communication going back and forth, a lot of these things can lead to a lot of missed things like this misalignment of the workload, SLAs that are missed because there's just that back and forth of like, hey, what's going on with this ticket? Oh, the timer, the SLA timer has already been breached because there's just too much back and forth of trying to understand what that service ticket is about. Or there was just a delay in looking at those other service tickets as well. Just that juggling act can cause an issue there, which in turn turns down to that very last piece about the increasing size of the backlog because of all that issues up front. It's not a well-oiled machine or just a conveyor belt of service tickets being assigned out and whatnot. How that affects your clients, probably, I'm pretty sure you guys already know this when it comes to the effect of them and how they're being uh, hindered in their resolution and as well as in their workday, right? That communication feels inconsistent because they're not seeing the right amount of communication going back and forth because the emergency and the issue is still trying to be handled in house before the tech can even get to the client to be able to figure out what's going on. Waiting longer times just to see what's going on with an update, big thing, and then eventually that does have an effect with losing their overall confidence with the team. And again, how I was mentioning how it affects the other teams, right? There's less billable hours just because there's that situation of trying to figure out what's going on, and then overall utilization and profitability goes down because of that, which in turn affects the overall NPS and CSAT scores because the clients are upset with all of that going on. Joe, you're the only one with a mic. You you've seen this before, right? You've heard those conversations
Yeah.
not only in your position but other positions working in the MSP space. I'm
Hmm.
sure you've heard a lot of this before, right?
Yep. Yeah, and it's the customer experience is something that, um, we want to present this front of we're very responsive, we're giving white glove service, but sometimes that can get distorted with some of these things, and the experience can actually be affected unintentionally, and so, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Very important. Very important to call out and really know what's going on. So, again, in terms of the exercise and in this call today, just wanted you to take note of that mental note. What hits you here, right? What's a big
Mhm,
thing that hits not only your team but other departments as well? Think about it in a way later on to take that back and figure out how you can improve on that, to be able to make an effect and make that improvement to affect upstream as well. Okay. So
mhm, yep,
let's go on to talk about, oh man, this is so long ago, IT Nation 2024. This slide was brought up back then. I needed to bring it back in 2025's IT Nation, um, just to call out because it still exists. Okay. We're talking about common missteps in the scheduling process. Kind of doesn't really make sense now in the face of it, but if you're trying to schedule a call, schedule an appointment, and you don't have the necessary information, how are you going to be able to have the right technician to be on that appointment or on that call?
mhm,
Are they even equipped to understand what's going on with the issue if the ticket is not processed and curated properly? I needed to make sure in the audience, just call this out. There are some MSPs out there that still don't do that today, or they don't really have a good process in place to be able to set that type, subtype, and item within the service ticket. I'm just calling out ConnectWise, but this is for all PSAs out there. It does exist, right? Because the information that the client puts in, I'm highlighting it right there. That's all he put. My laptop is slow. Well, what laptop are you talking about? What's the issue of it being slow? Can you describe it? You know, it's in more information that's needed prior to the call being scheduled because it can go in all different directions. Okay. So
Mhm.
we were trying to talk about this and really just convey that, you know, it's a very important process to follow to build that muscle memory of triaging service tickets with the right type, subtype, and item, updating the summary line, updating the notes, trying to get it curated as soon as possible in the beginning of the journey so that when it gets down to the technician side and they're working on it, they exactly know what's going on right away. Okay. Next one right here, loading the calendars with too many tasks. I still see this one as a thing where dispatchers will use the calendar view to be able to assign technicians to service tickets throughout the day. Really up front loading it at the very beginning of the day, where they're saying, "I got all of these unassigned service tickets. Guy Rogers, as a technician, Guy is free at this time, so I'm just going to go ahead and put all of the service tickets that they are skilled and qualified to work on, and just put it as a task list, if you will, throughout their day." Well, that can jack things up immediately. As soon as they walk in the door, 8:30, an emergency comes in. So that alters all of the service tickets that are in that list. It's got to get rearranged, all that stuff. What the point I'm trying to show here is that you can't just rely on a static calendar view of task list items because things change throughout the day. And also, too, I'm calling out here that you're not going to be able to schedule or book appointments because these placeholders, they're not really true appointments, but they're just placeholders, are blocking from the end user, your clients, from scheduling a call that could be a potential emergency for today, right? So, got to think about that and how could you do it that way. Um, I see a comment or a question, Joe. Can we? I think
Who is
that's safe to ask.
triaging dispatch?
Yeah, I think that's safe to ask this question now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's who is triaging? Yeah, it really depends on that situation, right? I mean, because I've seen technicians themselves triaging service tickets whenever they're working in between tickets.
Yeah,
Ultimately, I oh, go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say we have, we talk to MSPs of all different shapes and sizes. So, sometimes there aren't dispatchers. Sometimes, people are pulling tickets and then triaging and then taking action. There's also a service manager who might be triaging and dispatching, or you have a coordination team who's actually dispatching the tickets. It's um, looking at the different it can be all sorts of people and looking at the different processes to suit their business needs, right?
Mm.
uh, Jason, you were going to say something about that as well, but
Yeah, I was just gonna back you up on that point. It's more like it depends on the MSP, whoever has the capability. Ultimately, the entire team, service delivery team, should have some responsibility in triaging. No matter
yeah.
who, if as long as the tickets are triaged so it doesn't break SLA, that's the goal, right? So,
Mhm.
as the MSP, we suggest to establish that setup, um, with the ultimate goal of making sure that tickets get triaged effectively and as soon as possible.
Yep. And
So,
Shannon has a good point here.
yeah.
She's saying that we do have the functionality in your appointment types. There's a feature there where you can override tentative appointment types. So ConnectWise has this tentative. Autotask does not. I don't know. I can't remember if Halo does or not. So not all PSAs have this tentative type status, but it is there. Um, and I know for ConnectWise customers, we can override tentative appointments in your on your calendar. So for those ones that are kind of, task related, that is a way that you can approach it, is you can make all the ones that are tasks and not firm appointments in a tentative state, and then TimeZest can schedule over those, which is what Shannon's talking about there.
Yeah, yeah, and the good call out. What I wanted to also convey is the fact that this can be a little bit busy. Okay, this
Mm-hmm.
screen that I'm sharing can be quite busy, hard to tell sometimes. For those more trained, I've talked to Shannon. She's really good, powerful in what she does. She knows what's going on with her calendars,
Yeah.
right? There's others out there that kind of struggle with that, and it's like that's what we're trying to solve as well. Is with somehow finding a way to make this a little bit more plus one of a improvement with how tasks and service tickets, true appointments, should be displayed on a calendar.
And this screenshot is honestly very modest.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen some calendars. I've seen some calendars that are 2 and 3 tickets deep for each time slot. So, yeah, this one's very gentle
She,
on the
Shannon
part. So,
called it out before. 15-minute time slots. Those are
yeah,
the worst. Can't even see those. So,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it exists. All right, so let's keep going. So along with the next situation here on the left-hand side, talking about the meeting durations, we wanted to call out for those times as customers and really anybody else who schedules meetings, everybody, duration is a thing. Okay. And just wanted to call out, pay attention to the duration that you're setting on these appointments. Again, not just times as appointments, but we do want you to use it, obviously. But when it comes to the duration of an appointment, if it's misconfigured, it can have an effect with time lost, right? So in this example, I'm talking about the meeting duration of one being an hour. It's a standard setup, right? Where I've got a call with a client and I'm setting up as a default 1 hour session, and I keep sending out TimeZest requests. It's the same 1 hour session, 1 hour session. Many times it could just be a 30-minute call, and it trends to be that same type of appointment that you schedule with other clients, kind of trends towards a 30-minute call. Some customers forget to adjust it and it's always an hour long. Well, if that meeting continuously becomes a 30-minute call, you lose that extra 30 minutes to potentially schedule something else. Yes, you can have the idle time, and sure, you could pick up another ticket, but in terms of your calendar view, that can really get a little bit misleading if these calls are truly just a 30-minute duration. So it's, again, I'm just
Mhm.
calling it out, making sure you pay attention to that as you're going through some process changes and improvements, because we're noticing it quite a bit that they tend to forget some of these settings like the duration.
Mhm.
Now, I do want to call out, you can do that. For those that are not aware, you could change that duration from within the TimeZest pod, Insight, or tab, whatever PSA that you're on, at the service ticket level. So again, for those that don't know, you can actually do it from within the advanced options, additional options
Mhm.
within that the pod insider tab. You can actually change that duration on the fly for that specific ticket. If you know it's a 1 hour appointment type, you can change it down to a 30-minute, 50-minute, whatever case it may be. It just overrides that duration setting.
And that also goes, if you know that you have an extra chatty client and you might need to secure an extra 10 minutes, or something like that, you can also extend it. So that's on the, yeah, under the additional settings.
Chatty client, like this second scenario. A 30-minute call duration turns out to be 90 minutes. It happens. So you lose
We
that
all
1 hour.
have them. We all
Yeah,
have them,
it
or
happens.
we are them.
Yeah, right? So it's just
Yeah.
keep again, we're just trying to call out, pay attention to it, make adjustments as you need. So it's a nice little tip and
Uh,
trick that we wanted to share. Okay, cool.
yep.
Another one. I kind of want to skip this one just because of the time. I'm just trying to keep it short.
Yep.
Essentially, with this IT Nation event, we just wanted to call out these different things, different issues that have happened that we noticed a lot of, and really just pay attention to it to make some adjustments. So I'm gonna go ahead and just skip this one for now. Real quick, Joe, do we have any questions that you feel that we should also bring up? Anything else that
Not
pops
at
up in the
this
comments?
point that yeah, I think Jacob was just bringing, if the appointment is 30 minutes and takes 30 minutes, there's no room to schedule next steps. The thing there, Jacob, that you want to be intentional about is having buffers, right? So if all of the appointments are back to back to back to back, then yes, there's no time to insert notes or update. Um, and so having a little bit of buffer time between your appointments, and being intentional about what that meeting type needs as a buffer, is good to think through. So I know that for my meeting types that I hold, right, I need a little bit of a buffer between my meetings because I'm sending out emails and entering notes and taking the information from that meeting and transposing it for account management, right? So each appointment type is going to be a little bit different. If it's a quick password reset, it may not need a 30-minute buffer, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Your settings can help support that little bit of admin wiggle room there.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So moving on, with the discussion of the future of triage and dispatching, that was our goal, right? So we've made some internal decisions, leadership decisions on where we want to try to connect the pieces of this dispatcher, right? That our focus is on the dispatcher. We want to improve their day-to-day operations, what they do, their responsibilities, so they can evolve into a much better role. Because it's safe to say dispatcher is not going to be a dispatcher for the rest of their lives. They're going to change. Okay, so that has an effect with how your service delivery comes in place. Because if you have to replace the dispatcher, they call out, or if they just move to the next position or whatever, there's that challenge of getting the next one up to speed. So we're trying to figure out how we can make it more of a consistent process within your company with regards to this specific journey, the triage piece, the dispatching piece, and what we're hitting really well, the scheduling side. So, um, again, TimeZest, we own that, right? That's what we're really good at with this journey, this scheduling piece. And for those that are not uh, TimeZest customers today, watch a demo, learn all about that. But yes, that's what we're really good at. With regards to the dispatching side of piece, we want to solve that challenge of technician overload. If the dispatcher has somewhat of a challenge to assign or divvy out, whatever you want to call it, push service tickets out to the tech effectively, that it doesn't cause an overload or burnout. That's what we're trying to solve. And then lastly, if I could take one step back on the triage side, in that part of the journey, we want to ensure that some system that TimeZest tries to develop will have a way to be able to auto magically complete the triage, a ticket in the triage process, so that becomes curated and ready for dispatch as quickly and as accurately as possible.
Mhm.
Okay, so with today's um, triage and dispatching processes, we're again trying to go into this predictive clarity. We just wanted to call out what those issues are today, right? So it is a reactive approach of being able to make changes to the service ticket in terms of the triage and then dispatching out. It's a manual process, so that takes time. It just piggybacks to the time consuming issue, and it is error prone. Humans are humans. We make mistakes. Okay. So with this predictive approach of what we want to try to figure out is, can a smart system suggest the type, subtype, and item, among other things on that service ticket? Can it suggest to the dispatcher these particular settings based off of what the subject line and what the description of that service ticket is, to then suggest, hey, here's what we think the type, subtype, and item is. We also want to predict the urgency and the escalation point. Is this really a big problem, or is the VIP customer just crying wolf? Okay. And then also flag any missed details before it's assigned, curating that service ticket so it's fully fleshed out and ready to go. Can we avoid the manual process that the dispatcher needs to do? Can we save them time from doing this repetitively? Because they have to do this hundreds of times a day to triage service tickets. And then lastly, can we prevent it from being more overly error prone, than what a human does in mistakes that they cause. And then lastly, on the dispatch piece, can a system intelligently matchmake, not assign, but just match the most skilled and most qualified technician to say they are capable of pulling the service ticket? We want to be able to load real time workload and availability. So just looking at what they have, if they're too much overloaded with work, can the system find a way to be able to find another technician who is also equally qualified so that there's no overstacking of service tickets between one tech to another based off of the consideration of the skill set that they have, the certifications that they own, and qualifications and stuff like that. And then lastly, with if how we could fold in TimeZest, can the system also predict if a TimeZest, I'll just call it a scheduling request, is needed prior to it being assigned to the tech, so we can get something on the books to have an appointment scheduled sooner and put it on their calendar so they can join in into that meeting if needed, much more sooner than waiting for a tech to figure that out. Okay, how we want to be able to do that. So if we in this world, let's say that this system was able to accomplish both. Okay, the triage and the dispatching piece with this smart system to be able to do these things and save time, there's got to be some kind of evolution to the dispatcher themselves, right? With what they're doing. For example, the manual assignments. If I have to use my brain compute power as a dispatcher to be able to find the best technician available, are they um, qualified to do so? Do they have other service tickets that they need to attend to? Do they have meetings coming up, or are they going on PTO next week that I can't just keep assigning to it? The things that they're juggling in their mind, they got to do this all manually. Well, we want to try to get a dispatcher to now become what we're I don't know if we're going to coin it, but like an orchestrator of smart systems, right? Letting them have systems in place that gives them the power to be able to orchestrate. Hey, I've got this stack of service tickets that are ranked in a particular order based off priority, the client themselves, what the issue is, who this is affecting, so that I can then allow the technicians to be um, suggested who is the best person to be able to pick it. Again, as a dispatcher, I don't have to think about that. I'm just going to let this smart system do it for me. I can focus on other things. Okay, there's no more reactiveness to it. Okay, they're being more strategic. So instead of just off, if we can offload that brain compute power and the work that they need to do to be able to get the ticket triaged and assigned out, let them do other things, bigger and better things to be able to focus on the overall service delivery of their clients, removing those moving parts that they got to do with the triage, with the dispatching, other moving parts that I didn't really talk about, answering emails, answering phone calls, answering the demands of the texts. All of those things can be kind of offloaded, or not really offloaded, but really more focused on those exceptions, those emergencies, those clients that are calling in. I can really focus on those guys because I don't have to worry about the triage and dispatching piece anymore. I'm gonna let the system do it for me. The bottom piece, the blue bar at the bottom, that's important. We're not in the business to replace the dispatcher. Right? We don't want to remove the dispatcher themselves, the automation that we're trying to create here. We just want to be able to have them use this smart assistant to let them do bigger and better things so they're not inundated with just the triage process and the dispatching piece itself. Understand there's already triage software applications out there. We feel that we can tackle all of that. So the triage, the dispatching, and then the scheduling piece, we want to be able to tackle all of that. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm just looking at the time, just making sure we're good. There's a couple more slides here with when I talked about it with with the IT Nation pre-day. Um, we talked about the calling out the reality of what's happening in the world. Um, those missteps, remembering what those missteps were, and then how this system can potentially make life better for the dispatcher in terms of the service delivery and the automation pieces there. Now, at this point, we talked to the audience at IT Nation to kind of give them like steps on how to prepare your team if they wanted to adopt this approach so that it could be as clean as possible and they're not going to be overloaded with like a massive change in their process, um, and potentially ditch it because it might be too much work. So I'm just going to go ahead and show this all out here with the fact that, start from the bottom, chip away at the little things, standardize your stuff, standardize the process of type, subtype, and item, among many other things. Standardize the fact that you have to update the summary line, add the agreement if you don't have any automation there. Next one, cleaning up any duplicates in your PSA. If you've got um, old outdated records, you got to set time to be able to clean that stuff up. And then create consistency with regards to the processes that you have. Again, talking about the types of, I'm going to call it TSI. It's so much easier to call it that. And it's so strange. I've been in the industry for like 18 years, something like that, 17, 18 years. It was only last year when I heard just the acronym TSI, and I was like, what does that mean? It took me forever. Somebody had to explain that to me. And I was like, oh my God, I could have been saying that instead of type, subtype, and item. I don't know. It's just little things that I find pretty interesting that I learn every day. So just making sure that we continue with this is just going on and figuring out what are those little things you can work day by day to make improvements in your within your team in those processes. And at the very top, monitor and measure. Okay, those changes that you make, those improvements that you try to want to do. Can you measure that in any success within your team, which can have those effects downstream with your sales, finance, and eventually with your clients? Are those improvements making an effect with what you're doing today? Okay. Wanted to share one of these things. Like we wanted to call it out because there was a discussion here during that IT Nation pre-day. We've discovered that there are some companies out there that don't even have a flow of triage, right? It's kind of wild, wild west situation. So we wanted to share this with them to say, start thinking about those different plans and different processes to where you can standardize it. Like we were saying, like set those processes in place so that you can create a consistent and thoughtful and accurate way to be able to handle your service delivery with regards to how tickets are handled. Okay. Um, Another one we suggested, we just wanted to throw it out there to the audience. Use this checklist as a suggestion. We actually printed out hard copies for the audience to take home.
Mhm.
Use this as a thought to be like, hey, I can't dispatch a service ticket unless you, the triage team, or whoever's doing the triaging, fills these things out. Like checks off on each service ticket to make sure that the TSI is set up, is the impact, urgency, priority, all that stuff filled out properly. Um, One ticket, one issue, right? There's no multiple issues within the service ticket. Making sure that that's set up as well. Okay. So again, it's just as a suggestion. We can share this in potentially in this video, or you guys could take a screenshot of it and use it for future use. So wrapping it all up in that session, we wanted to just call out on the client side of things, right? Because at the end of the
Mhm.
day, that's what you're in business for, taking care of your clients, and how this automation, this smart system that we're looking to develop, specifically in the triage, dispatching, and scheduling piece, how that's going to be an advantage to your clients because it's going to make life better internally to where your clients will be able to say something like these quotes here that I randomly said, but it just makes sense. It's not an actual quote from a client, but we were just trying to call out the fact that, it's not, hey, I don't have to email my service provider so many times for follow-ups or to even schedule a call. I just get something right away and I can get something, an appointment with a tech whenever I need, whenever I'm free. Another one, the bottom one, clear communication, how that builds trust not only with the communication between the dispatcher and the tech team, but also between the tech team and the client themselves. That transparent in communication, if it gets cleared up, that's going to have a vast improvement with the overall customer experience that your clients are going to be able to see. That's it. In 4 hours, this is what I kind of want to have it condensed to you. So
Yep.
we got time for questions. If there's anything else you guys want to
So,
talk
is
about,
this some mythological creature, Jason?
it's
Where are we at right now?
yeah. So safe to say, yes, our engineers are highly focused on solving that problem of the
Hmm.
triage, the dispatch. We already have the scheduling piece, tying in the scheduling piece,
Yep.
right? It's not out there in the wild. We're not marketing it right away. We're keeping it as word of mouth that it exists. Okay, so I'm saying it's there. We are looking to solve those challenges of the automation piece of triaging service tickets so then it can get curated and letting a
Hmm.
smart system make suggestions on a stack ranking of service tickets, making suggestions to say, hey, this tech is available. They have the skill set and they're best qualified to do so. And we want to take the approach of this pool model. I'm not sure if everybody has heard about this, but this concept of a pool model where we're not just forcing tickets onto the tech. We're letting the tech, if they become available, they can pull the next available service ticket to them that matches their skill set criteria so that whenever they're ready, it is already curated for them back on the triaging piece and they can work on it right away. And I saw a comment that just came in. Is a real tool available now? No, it's not available now. Shannon got a really good preview of it. So she kind of helped influence
But it's
this
not
thing.
just a thought. It is being built. It
Yes.
is in, we're working on it internally. We're playing around with it internally. Guys are still working on it.
Yes. Correct. Correct. So
But
we're
it's not
looking.
some mythical thing that we're just talking about. This is actually in works. Um, I'm
Yeah.
getting myself in trouble, Jason.
No, no, no. It's not a concept. It's not a concept. It's a
It's
thing.
in depth.
We
Yeah,
want this thing to
that's what
be
I want to
available.
assure everyone, right?
Yeah.
Is that it's just not a thought. We're actually working on it. It's in development. I've, we internally have access to the beginnings of it, and it's exciting. So we're excited to bring this. If you've met with me, I recognize a few names here that we see. We talk about setting up these processes, and Jason mentioned we don't want to replace your dispatcher. We want to empower them, right? We've always called the dispatcher kind of this chess master where they're, figuring out all the pieces, they're moving and shifting, and that is still highly valuable. But we do want to bring a system that can be their assistant, that can improve them, take some of that human element out of it that can cause errors and mishaps, and smooth things over. And so I think in my conversations I have with customers, pretty much everyone, I talk about the customer experience, right? Making that a beautiful experience really builds up your credibility as a company, and your trustworthiness, right? So um, for me, I think this is going to be a great step in being able to tie TimeZest and really make it more impactful on your day-to-day processes. Steve, you're asking end results. So, in product, we don't want to make any promises, but we do have, goals. So what's our goal right now, Jason, of bringing this to the forefront and with no promised deadline about it?
I don't know if it was me. You kind of went a little
Did the
robotic
internet
here.
blip?
Yeah, but I think your
Yeah,
question
I
was
saw the internet do a thing.
I believe you're asking of potential release dates or just availability to the general public. Our
Yeah, like
goal,
what's our goal?
yeah, internally we set a goal to be end of Q1 of an MVP of this product with the potential for I don't want to say potential. It's going to happen. Other improvements, other versions and iterations moving forward as well after that. We have an internal goal to try to do it by the end of the quarter.
So that brings us to kind of this page here that we have. We highly value our customers' feedback and insight, and we see you as, our own little think tank. So please go ahead and where that center QR code for the product feedback that goes to our feature request page. Please do submit your ideas and what you would see as valuable there. That goes directly to Jason, but it gives him a platform to kind of organize it and pull. And then he's great about, reaching out to you for a meeting to talk through ideas if need be. And then we're also here to do system reviews with you. So a big thing that I like to impress on people that Jason talked about in this was having your processes in place, right? Training your team and then monitoring and measuring the success of those different things. That's important for TimeZest today as it stands. And it's going to apply even more to when this product is released. So please, stay engaged with us about it. Let us know what, you would like to see. Any questions either on topic or off topic about TimeZest itself that, you have Jason and I here for a couple more minutes. Anything else that we can cover for you guys?
But before we start to see a drop off in the audience, I do want to call
Yeah.
out that this is not the end of this topic
Yep.
in this open office hours, right? So we wanted to just share to the audience the preview and what our thought and mindset is with regards to this future of triage and dispatch automation. When the time comes that we're ready to share the product itself, we're going to do another session, open office
Yep.
hours session, to show you like what's the end result. And this is what we came across.
I
So
think
stay
we're
tuned to that.
aiming for May, June timeframe to probably have that conversation. Um, like I mentioned at the beginning, please follow TimeZest on LinkedIn. If you're not, we do announce these office hours there as well. So Andrea, we don't have an answer for that at this time. That's going to be way above Jason and I's head. So explain anything about how your smart system would interpret load capacity for a given team member. Jason, I think that one's more for you, sir.
Yeah, I'm reading it. How the smart system would interpret load capacity for a given. Okay, so we're talking about, say, for example, a tech has five. I don't know. Let's keep it simple. 5 service tickets on their list of things to do. Open service tickets that they're working on. Can they have the capacity to pick up another one? Okay, we're going off the approach of this pool model, where leaving it up to the technician to decide, do they have the capacity to pick up one more? We want to avoid or step away or kind of evolve the service delivery of saying a dispatcher has to push out that sixth service ticket to the tech because they may not have the most accurate information of the capacity of the tech for whatever reason. So we wanted to leave it up to the tech to say if they have the capacity to handle those five, pick up that sixth one, let the tech decide to do that. I hope that answers your question, Jacob. If there's another way that you needed to reword it, um, all ears to have a conversation about it.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Yeah, it's some sort of queue system, not auto assignment.
Correct. Yeah. So we're that's what we're looking into.
Yeah.
It's a queue system, a stacked ranking of service tickets that the smart system will try to organize with
Mhm.
the manual override capability for the dispatcher to say, I think something else is more important, or I need to reshuffle the deck because something new came in, the dispatcher or whoever's going to have access to it, to be able to make those changes of that stack ranking, will be able to make those adjustments. But eventually, um, the system will also have the smarts and understanding to suggest to say, okay, with this restacked rank of tickets, is technician A available, and are they qualified to be able to pick that next service ticket if needed?
Yeah.
Put a block in TimeZest to avoid additional ticket. Yeah, yeah, I do that. I did that when I was in support. I'll be honest, I did it. It wasn't
I
really
get it.
lunch. I didn't take a lunch. I just put it there because I wanted to.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And if you have any ideas of things that you would like us to talk about, I am more than open to that. You can email me at johanna at timezest.com, as well as help at timezest.com. The guys will forward it to me, but we are here here to help. Steve, you guys are cracking me up. Fire them. Okay, not really.
I've got one more, Joe.
Yeah.
I think you talked about it. Let me just reshare this again. You're talking about the QR codes. I believe
Oh,
you mentioned the center, the product feedback
yeah.
QR code.
Customers. So the
What?
customer success team review, we can do a system review and then a product
Yeah,
demo.
the center one is the one I wanted to call out. The product feedback
Yep.
QR code for that's for me to schedule time with me. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure the audience here, and then for those watching on the YouTube channel, if you guys want to talk about influencing this product, talk to me about it because I want to be able to understand, is this truly solving your problem?
Yep.
I'm going with Shannon again because I know her. She and I talked about it and we went back and forth with certain things that we were able to tweak. But that's what I want because we don't know if we're going to be building it properly without your input. So I just wanted to make sure if you have the time, have the capacity, and you want to be able to share your thoughts, use that QR code to be able to spend some time with me and talk it through. I'm not going to promise it's going to happen, but hey, if it's a great idea, I'm going to share it with the team. We'll make that decision to see if we can make it a reality for you.
And if you just want to submit a feature request, I put the link to the roadmap feature request page in the chat as well, so you can access that. That's very generous, Jason. I didn't know that was your scheduling link. That's fantastic. And then just a little idea for everybody in there that you can turn your own shareable URLs and personal pages into QR codes as well and use those. So just a little plug there.
Yeah,
Got to do
I
it.
had to do it on my phone to make sure that was my scheduling link, and it is. It is.
All right. We are going to give you guys a couple minutes back in your day. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. We have the best customers, and I'm so grateful for you guys and your engagement with us. And I hope to see you in next month, which is actually later this month. I think we're talking about QBRs. So we're going to have a talk then at the end of the month, and I look forward to seeing you all there. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.